Hi, welcome to the podcast. Today we're talking about why nobody is following you on whatever social media platform, but let's mostly shit on YouTube and Instagram. Because YouTube is a nice platform, but it's decently hard to grow on YouTube, and Instagram's almost impossible. So let's talk about what the problem with both of them is. And I also want to look into comment and following culture on both platforms and what's different and why basically YouTube is the most amazing platform of them all. So let's start with Instagram. I think Instagram is the pain in the ass of most creators, especially if you are a photographer, you started out just sharing your pictures. Maybe you even became a photographer through Instagram. Like you upped your photo game inspired by people like Peter McKinnon or Matti Hapuja or some of the other buddies of Peter McKinnon. Like if you don't know, I'm a fan of his channel. I think I mainly like it because of his attitude. Like the guy is just friendly but also straightforward, but he's never really mean, you know? I think he can do a rant without being mean. That's something I can't do. I can do a rant, and I like being mean. Sometimes I just want to let it out, but then I feel bad about it, and some people are giving me crap about it, and then I feel even worse. But Instagram, by the way, on Instagram, rants do not work. At least they don't work that well. Like, I have this aesthetic cinematic video kind of style on my Instagram, and it usually doesn't match the taste of the audience, you know, like when I put out a rant about some social justice issue or some personal issue or just, I don't know, whatever rant doesn't really fly with that crowd. And then, yeah, I have just stopped doing that, even though I like rants so much. So they go all on YouTube now and on this podcast, because this podcast is my pet project and I do whatever the fuck I want here. I will bleep out the swearing just to make more money, but that is all the censorship that you will see on this podcast. Everything else, I'm just gonna talk about whatever I want. You can listen and we can learn together and grow together, because I think that's community, you know, finding your crowd because you're being you. Anyway, on Instagram, I think fakeness still is huge. Like, people just love these glossy pictures of perfect, pretty people. Another PPP. We had one in episode 2, didn't we? Or was it episode 1? If you're watching on YouTube, write it in the comments. Like, if you are a returning viewer, hi, you're cool, thank you for returning. Anyway, I like the alliterations. So on Instagram, I think this high quality content will always fly, because people go there to be inspired. They go there to see their dreams. It's like Pinterest, but interactive. On Pinterest, you know, the cemetery of beautiful ideas and DIYs, where you bury all the things that you could do, but you never really find the time to do. And you think like, yeah, but I have the capability to do it and I can think it. So you're halfway there in your brain, but you really never do it. Like the one thing that you wanted to build for your kid, but now your kid has grown up and the opportunity has just gone out the window. Yeah, we've all been there. I understand. If you want to do stuff, do it. Don't watch stuff on YouTube and Pinterest and follow other people's dreams. Do your own stuff. And then make a lot of videos and photos of it and share it online and become famous. Because people are becoming famous for basic shit right now, especially on TikTok. Anyway, why is nobody following you on Instagram? Well, on Instagram, the follow culture, in my opinion, is driven by authority. People follow authorities, and you can have authority through different channels or different categories of authority are there that exist. You have authority maybe because you have a lot of followers, and I think with people who are just consumers, that works. I personally don't like to follow accounts that have a 500 or 1 million followers unless they make awesome content. Peter McKinnon again. I like to see his photos. Do I like to interact with Peter's photos? No, there is no interaction there. And also on a lot of big accounts, if you leave a comment or you leave some productive criticism, at least you might think, well, I think this could have been done this way or that way. People give you shit. People are being mean and know-it-alls, and everyone's a professional photographer or a professional know-it-all, depending on what genre it is. They feel entitled to lecture you. You wanted to interact with the creator, but the creator will never respond to you. Instead, their minions will respond to you and you will just get crap from them, even if you're being polite about your criticism, or you might just had another experience and wanted to share it. And that's not working in large communities. That's one of my fears when I think I'm growing, and I've seen, like, even with my 2K subscribers on YouTube, I've seen that some of them get at each other's necks over like some stupid video about a movie that I made. Like, I made a video about the second or third or whatever fifth movie that is basically a copy paste of their first movie from The Minimalists. Those are two minimalism influencers. Yes, such thing exists. Amazing, right? And they made a movie about how consumerism is shit and anti-consumerism is awesome, and being a minimalist is basically awesome and helps you get your life and your mental health and everything together. They create semi-helpful content, mostly for beginners. I'm not a beginner. I've been a minimalist for, I don't know, 2 decades. So I don't really care about their content, and but I understand why people listen to their podcast and value that content, so good for them. So I made a rather critical video about their second movie because I think it's a copy paste of the first one, and I don't know, I mean, I understand like everyone can make money by demand, you know, if there's a lot of demand for the stuff you're putting out there and people are willing to pay for it even though it's not novel, well, that's on them. That's not on you. If you sell it and there's a market for it, that's the problem of the people who are wasting their money on it. I would not get anything out of that money watching it a second time, so I would not pay for the same movie twice. So I don't really see a problem with that. I don't see a problem with people making money off of minimalism. I couldn't care less. And I'm not envious of some big creator. I personally can work in my industry whenever I want, make money there. I don't need YouTube. YouTube is my pet. I like making YouTube. I make it because I can, not because I have to. Personally, I think they depend more on their online presence than I depend on mine. So no, there is no envyism there. But envyism, is that a word? Sorry, I'm German. And people are fighting over this in my comment section, and some are defending me, which is so cute and nice. Like, thank you. I really appreciate that. Actually, I'm reading that and I'm like, man, this person who doesn't even know me is defending my YouTube honor. Oh man, that's so cute. Thanks. That's like, it wasn't necessary, but well, thank you. So I find that really funny, and I think that if you have a bigger community, this stuff is it will escalate faster, and it'll become like a little Reddit down there, and I don't like it. I really don't like it. I prefer when people are just being nice and like in real life, you know? Like when you are a person with a face, like me, I have a face, I have a name, and I have it on YouTube. So I'm kind of accountable for the stuff that I say. I cannot just say some random nasty shit or some random nasty political stuff, something mean. People will see that I said that with my face and then ask me and hold me accountable for that. And I've done stupid stuff in the past, being mean, and I deleted the videos that I thought I was being too mean. So, and I think that you should always like evolve. Like I'm still being mean in my private life, you know? But I'm not being mean on YouTube anymore because I think I want to spread some sort of positivity on my channel. And it's not fake positivity, it's the thing that I want to do and the thing that I want to be. So YouTube is helping me do that and be that better me, you know? Like, it's a positive version of fake it till you make it. Try it until you make it. Be the person you want to be until you really are that person from like deep down. And I find it so amazing and powerful when you get feedback on YouTube, and you get so much better feedback on YouTube sometimes than on Instagram. But I think that depends on content also. We're gonna get into that. And people are just they are so grateful for you just handing off small tips and nice little ideas. And I would have never guessed, you know, how much YouTube has just helped me grow personally. So yeah, I think if you want to be a creator, any creator, YouTuber will always be the number one. It's the best community-wide, and you will have it easier to grow, and if your content is good, and you will have nicer interactions. So anyway, let's get back to Instagram and why people are not following you on Instagram, and why Instagram is basically a crappy platform for video creators as well as photographers. If you're a video creator, the only video content that works right now on Instagram is short content, and mostly stuff below 15 seconds even. And oh my god, like, I don't know. I just find that very frustrating. I had a conversation with my husband the other day, and he was like, dude, I don't get this Instagram shit. Can you make a podcast about how to use Instagram? And I was like, yeah, I have a podcast on I will have an episode and you know how to set up your Instagram and stuff like that. And he's like, no, I mean as a user, as a viewer. And I'm like, dude, what? Okay, boomer, you want to know how to use Instagram? And he was like, yeah, I don't get it. And I remember that I felt like the same way because my husband, he's basically my like bot. So he is just clicking on my reels, interacting with them, liking them, and I don't know, pressing the share link button so it gets a share. Because I think they don't follow up on that. Like, they had cookies in the past, but they really don't do that anymore. So if you just press the share link button, then it's considered a share for Instagram. Anyway, he was like, I don't get this scrolling, and then sometimes the sound is on, sometimes it's off. I have to click 5 times and it stops, and it's disruptive as fuck, and I just don't get it. Like, and then there's this long format thing that I click on the little icon, and I see that, and if you're talking about stories, yeah, stories, what's a story? And it's a thing that vanishes after 24 hours unless you save it to a highlight. What's a highlight? I should bring him on the podcast. And then he was like, but what is this reels? I always get reels, but then I also get posts, and then I click them away and I can never find them again. Yeah, it's because it's nuts. It's nuts. And I think that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge how nuts and how messed up Instagram has become as a platform. Because, dude, humans, we are doing a devolution here of our ability to concentrate on a form of content that is already optimized for our attention, which is video. We have reduced our attention span from monkey to Drosophila, which is the little flies that eat your bananas and nest in your cacti, I guess, if they're too wet. So don't water your cacti too much. Yeah, I don't want to be a fucking fly. I want to be a monkey again. At least a monkey. So that kind of irks me. That's the first thing I find stupid, that we went back to short form content when, like, even our teachers, when I was in, I don't know, 5th grade or something, like, in Germany we start at grade 1. That is like elementary school, primary school, whatever you want to call it. And then their second school you go to is high school, or some downgrade of it if you don't want to go to university. And the school before university, it's another 8 years, and we call it gymnasium, like gymnasium. And so the first grade of that is called 5th grade. And I remember in 5th grade, kids my generation would watch a lot of Nickelodeon. Like, we had that too here, and some other stupid channel, I don't remember the name, and we would watch these cartoons. And I remember my music teacher, she was this mean lady who always told me that I was completely talentless, which was before I learned 3 instruments in 1 year and singing. Like, after that, I got really good in music, but before that I was an unmotivated, annoying, bad student, and she hated me and I hated her. And my music teacher, at some point, she held this little talk in front of the class because the class was being loud, and she was like, dude, you kids, she didn't say dude though, she said, you kids, you watch these stupid shows on Nickelodeon all the time, you watch it, and it's just 20 minutes, and then there's an ad break, and then you watch another one, 20 minutes, and another one, and another one, and another one, but a lesson is 45 minutes. And in my lesson, you need to listen for 45 minutes, but you all can't do that. After 30 minutes, you're done. Today I know that 45 minutes is bullshit. And you should take a break after 20 minutes. Nickelodeon are not. But, teachers didn't know that then, and they don't seem to know that now. And if they know, they don't seem to care, or they blame it on the system and say, oh, what can we do? We have to get all the material into these kids' brains. So what can we do? What can we do? There's never anything you can do, so you just have to give up and do what the system tells you, right? That's just the way to go about it, right? But I think there is some truth in what my teachers said to me when I was like a little punk kid. We are reducing our attention span by training our brains that after a certain time of seconds, the new interesting stuff is over. And we are training our brains to expect fast pictures and not really take a look at them when we show like a reel of a city. I have one at myself because I wanted to try whether it works or not. Like this city travel reels, they're always very fast and they go like boom, 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 picture, and then beat drop, and then there comes some other cool transition to, I don't know, a beach, a restaurant, whatever the creator wants to show you. And it looks nice, but it's also pretty meaningless and you can't really look at a single picture. And on Instagram right now, you can't even pause those reels unless you hold the finger down for a while. And then it has a hysteresis, and that means it stops like later than when it has to recognize that your finger has been there for, I don't know, a tenth of a second or something, and then it stops, and then you don't even have the picture that you wanted to see. I mean, on TikTok at least you can just tap and it stops. On Instagram, I don't know. I could rant about Instagram's dysfunctionality for days, I believe, but I won't do that here. So anyway, Instagram, this short form content is taking over Instagram, and all the Instagram coaches and experts, I don't know what the expertise is of those other than mostly getting lucky with content themselves being discovered by the algorithm and then riding that wave by producing the same stuff over and over and over again. Yeah, of course that works. That's not rocket science. My perspective is more of the perspective of a data analyst and a programmer. So I have done back ends of stuff, also front ends. I've basically done full stack. I know how these programmers think, so that's my perspective on Instagram, like how they collect that data, and I understand where they're getting at with that stuff. So I usually know why my content doesn't work or why some other person's content doesn't work. I'm not coming from a perspective of a huge influencer that has got lucky. So, and I'm not interested in those perspectives. There are others out there that are more on the analysis side, especially when it comes to YouTube, the channel makers. That is a really good analysis-driven channel. Who the creator, his name is Nate, I think. He works with a lot of data, collects a lot of data, makes surveys, and talks to creators. So I think he's doing a very good job when it comes to working with data and analyzing it properly. But most coaches and influencers don't really do that. They just talk from their own experience and give you anecdotal evidence that is valuable sometimes when it's in line with the actual reality. But when it's not, you never know. Is that the one trick that will work? And this whole idea of cheating the algorithm and cheating Instagram, I don't know. I just don't believe in that way of going about things. I think it's insincere. For instance, calls to action. Why did I never feel good about calls to action? Because I think it's fake. If I'm having a conversation with another person and we're sitting on a coffee table having a coffee, yeah, and I'm saying like, hey, I got this new backpack from Fjellraven. So I really like my new Fjellraven Konken. And what do you think about it? And my friend says, it looks nice. It's not my style, but I think it looks okay. If my friend is not saying like, wow, this is such a cool backpack. I've noticed it before. Tell me more about it. I want to know all about it and blah, 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 blah. And this conversation is going on for like 6 more interactions. If that's not happening, I will not go and tell my friend like, hey, ask me more about my backpack. Ask me more about my new backpack. Could you like just take it for a second and appreciate like how nice it is? Like, please take my backpack and look at it. Look at it. Here's my backpack. You have 5 more pictures. I have pictures on my phone of my backpack. You want to see it? Nobody would do that in real life. So why would you do it on Instagram? I'm all for behaving more like a normal human being and not like a complete lunatic on Instagram, right? Why would you shove content up somebody's ass if they didn't ask for it? Like, no. The content must be awesome and people should follow you for your personality and your content. Yes, both. You should make it in a way that both fit each other. And if your content doesn't match your personality, or your personality, like I said before, like my rants, they didn't match my content. My personality sometimes just doesn't match my content. So I have to decide, do I want to share that side of myself? Do I want to make it match? Like, can I film an aesthetic rant? Maybe. It's a challenge. So, like, I am doing these vlogs and I'm doing something completely new with them. Personally, I try to not care whether they will, make it on YouTube or not, or on Spotify, or where I will upload this. At the moment, I try to not care about that, and that's my new thing. Sometimes you have to experiment. Anyway, back to the Instagram algorithm. Instagram pushes out content that triggers emotions in the viewers. They want to trigger emotions like people crying, people being amazed, people being inspired, people being bedazzled by some beautiful landscape or something incredible somebody does. But that also means that it doesn't really put out average content. It doesn't put average content on the For You page, or what is it called on Instagram, the Explore page, because it's average. So can you make it with average content? I don't think so. I think if you want to make it on Instagram fast, same as TikTok, you have to make extremely nice, good-looking content. And it's going more towards highly edited and beautiful content with good color grading, good contrast, stuff like that. Yeah, people upload their meme stuff from TikTok right onto Instagram and just dump it there. And sometimes that flies, with people who are just end users that don't really care about quality and want to see something funny. Maybe in between looking at what their friends did, they look at that stuff too, and then in between they see an ad, and that's enough for Instagram to say, okay, this works for us sufficiently because we showed 5 ads to that person, so we're happy. And this person is like just 30% annoyed, so yeah, that's still good. They will still come back to the platform, right? And from a creator perspective, I think you will reach burnout pretty fast if you try to put out awesome content all the time. So here's my strategy for Instagram. On Instagram, what I do is I try to create a content library. Like you had a feed before, back in the golden days of Instagram, like, 2016. You had a beautiful feed that was like matching colors, matching color grading, and just really nice editing. So I do that now, just with reels. And I don't really care if I make a reel or a photo, because when I take a video of something compared to taking a photo, the only difference for me is like I hold the record button instead of the shutter button. So I don't really care. So it's 15 seconds of maybe a landscape with a little bit of moving grass in the foreground so it looks deeper. No problem. Just do that, And I think when I look at some content that I want to make, I want to take a beautiful picture. I'm going to take my picture from me just because I like it. But I'm also going to make a reel, and I can use the picture as a thumbnail. And anyway, so I'm taking a nice picture, the picture that I wanted, landscape and portrait and whatever I want. But I'm also making that reel. Just always when I think this could be a video too, then it's going to be a reel, because photos are not pushed out that much anymore. They are sometimes, and especially for big creators, it still works, but for small creators, I think it reaches nobody. And I've compared the reach of my photos to the reach of my reels, and it's usually like 3 to 5 times as much as with the photo posts. And it doesn't depend on if it's a stupid carousel. Also, I hate this kind of advice when they always say like, oh, you need to push out a carousel, a value-driven carousel. Like, what value? I'm basically a photographer, so I'm doing the art or a craft, a photography. I'm not putting any text in my carousels. I can share a carousel post that shows different landscapes. What's the value in that? There's no value there. Value is like information. Sure, you might say value is also entertainment and looking at somebody and being amazed. That's value for some people. But I think it's not the same as, some coach post that teaches you about how to trick the algorithm and the value in that. You cannot compare these two. You cannot compare artsy content with info content, and you cannot compare artists and coaches. It's not the same. But that will be for another episode. Oh yes. So yeah, I usually just replace photos with videos, as in short form videos like reels. And I think that's the way to grow today on Instagram. And I think if you have wrapped your head around it, it is okay to do. Like, I'm using my camera. Where's my camera? I'm using my camera for this. I have an RX 100 just for reels. For everything else, I use a real camera and not a tiny point and shoot. I use a mirrorless Sony Alpha, so that's okay for vlog content. And yeah, but this has amazing stabilization. It's good for slow shots. It's good for all sorts of fast video, and it's light, so it's not super shaky. Your hands don't get tired that fast. And I think it's perfect for this kind of content. I use it for snapshots of my kid. I basically use it like most people use a phone, but the difference is, out of this camera comes high quality footage. Out of your phone, mostly not. But back to the comment culture and the follow culture in Instagram. How does this affect the comment and follow culture? I think that people are scrolling through this feed of reels and other stuff, and they're just tired of liking stuff. So they mostly just like epic stuff, or they like it when they see it's you. That also means they need to recognize you. So if you're putting out generic photo content that could be by any other creator, and your color grading isn't recognizable, and you are not in the shots, and there's just nothing, not even like a handle or some text that identifies you, they will not know it's from you, and they might not like it because they don't even know that it's you. And so even your supporters might not like or comment on your video for that reason. So I just recently relaunched my Instagram account, started a completely new account, and ditched my old account that I had grown quite a bit. But I ditched it because, first of all, I got a shadow ban and a strike on my account for posting a completely innocent picture. There's going to be another episode about that and how to deal with that kind of stuff. But I posted the picture and it was flagged, and then it didn't unflag, even though I said, hey, come on, no. And I did an appeal and everything, but it didn't work. So I started over on Instagram. And that is how I know how to grow from scratch now, because I'm just doing it. And it's so interesting to see what people are into these days and what is working with a fresh, clean, new account. So that's so interesting. And I've seen that a lot of my followers now are my true followers that followed me over from the other account, but also new followers. And my old frenzy followers, they really comment a lot and like my posts a lot. And some even share my posts, which is, oh man, I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. That's just so nice. Like when I see that somebody shared my story, because you don't get notified as a creator that somebody shared your story. You don't see that. So I follow some of my followers back, and sometimes I see, oh, they shared the post. Cool, wow, that's amazing. This culture of community has improved through me creating a new account. And I think it's really amazing right now where it is, with just about above 100 followers, which is almost nothing, but this is enough to push out your content, and this is enough to have your content recommended to these people over and over again. And the account is like on 8 days old right now, and it's so interesting to see what works and what doesn't, and who comments and who doesn't, and what kind of content people comment on. Usually people comment on content where you're asking for help or for an opinion, and people are also commenting on content where the question that comes with the content is generic enough for them to have an opinion on it, but not too generic to not care. And I also see that people comment on stuff that is just epic, like epic beautiful landscape or a beautiful city or wonderful color grading. that is, with my more like cinematic vlog style content, that is what people like to comment on. And that's also what I appreciate. I mean, you cannot say much to somebody who just posted beautiful and heart smiley or something. That doesn't really matter anyway. So I usually just like it and say thank you, and that's it. You don't have to strike up a fake conversation with somebody who just wanted to let you know they think it's pretty. I think it's pretty exemplary for what the comment culture on Instagram is. Either you can have a conversation over a topic or you can't. And beautiful content that is just cinematic and good looking, I don't think there is much of a conversation there, and you should not expect a lot of comments if you make that kind of content. People just like it. Maybe they save it if they want to make something like this themselves. I think a lot of people save stuff when they are creators and when they think, oh, I want to copy that concept. But when I compare it to YouTube, which is really interesting for me because I have both. I have a YouTube, a TikTok, and an Instagram. And also Vero. And I think I still have some MySpace account somewhere. Yeah, MySpace. That was cool back then. I really liked MySpace. So, and a Facebook. Yeah, I have 1 follower on Facebook. I really just use it to use Creator Studio for Instagram because that is just really nice to manage your content. Better than doing it over the phone or Instagram itself. Because you can write a long paragraph on your computer if you want to. And I like writing long paragraphs because I started as a blogger, actually, back in the day, in 2010. So the comment culture and the general community culture on YouTube and Instagram, in my opinion, is fundamentally different. The YouTube community, in my opinion, is much more debate-driven, and they like to give you more constructive feedback, and it's okay to be negative on YouTube. On Instagram, it escalates just super fast. Even on small accounts, it escalates super fast. People are like, they love you or they hate you. And on YouTube, I think it's like more of a community. As I said, like some people, they defend your YouTube honor and they just are starting to have conversations in the comments about the topic. And it's like a whole little subculture down there. But they cannot DM you and they cannot react to your stories much or stuff like that. And it's less interactive in general. So I love to take part of my community from YouTube to take them to Instagram, where I can have actually real conversations and connect with them and get to know them a little bit. Because I hear about like some of my followers, like the ones that I recognize, that always comment on my YouTube posts even, and give me feedback and tell me, hey, your content is getting better or stuff like that, or hey, I think this could have done also like this way, or you could make a video about this and that. I like this feedback, and often I just want to connect with these people also on Instagram. It doesn't necessarily mean I follow all of them, because I just can't follow everyone, because I want my feed to be pretty lean. I actually look at my feed and just, I have my homies in there that I personally have known for a while. So in order for me to follow you, we need to have connected and talked for quite some time. And, you know, I think with the creators, you should always respect that with other creators, even with bigger ones, you know. Some people are just annoyed that they don't follow you back, but it's about keeping our feed clean and not having a full inbox even sometimes. Sometimes you just want to talk like really briefly, but you don't know each other. You wouldn't talk to a stranger on the street just because they are standing there and painting a picture of the street, and maybe you bought that picture of them, but you would not invite them over to your home and be like, oh, let me tell you my life story, right? And I think we need to be less selfish about that, because I've done that in the past too. I thought like, hey, but I make content too, I'm a creator, and let's talk, and hey, let's chat and stuff like that. People don't want to chat. People are busy. And I've come to accept that with others, and I just hope that others can accept that with me too, but because I have limited time. And the more time that I spend on answering comments on YouTube and answering DMs on YouTube, on Instagram, I mean, the less time I have to make content. So I try to implement the questions in my to-do list and then implement them in my videos, and that's how I do it. So YouTube comment culture is more like a community. People talk about stuff down there. People have their own little threads in the comment section. And on Instagram, I feel like it's more about a relationship between the creator and the commenter. And because you can click on their profile too and see what they do. And, sometimes I just do that to see what this person is into and what they, what they care about, just to get to know this person, like, just to get a feel for my audience, and you don't really have that option on YouTube. People usually don't have a channel. If they have a channel, I sometimes follow them back. I turned my YouTube subscriptions public for that precise reason, so that people can see when I follow them back, and also so that people can see which types of content I personally follow, because I think that's always super interesting when I see a bigger creator. Who do they actually follow? So I don't want to keep that secret for now. That's an experiment of mine, but let's just see how long I keep that up, And I personally also have stopped using a second account for watching whatever I want to watch. I have it all in one place now, and I use my YouTube account. This is also my private account, and that actually helped me being more intentional with what I watch on YouTube, because I'm thinking, like, I'm watching this with my public profile. I'm gonna have that in my feed. Do I want that there? Maybe not. And when I had just a user account, I was caring way less, to be honest. That also gets me thinking, like, how do users really think? Because I have never been a user myself of YouTube. I only installed YouTube as an app. I didn't even know it was an app back then. Yeah, hi to you other boomers. I really feel old sometimes. But the thing is that I never used that app before I was a YouTuber myself, which I started being in 2016 to 2017. Yeah, around that. And then I had a huge break because I had a baby, and then I switched from German to an English channel. And so it took a while. And I restarted my YouTube channel in English in 2020, I think. So, and it was pretty interesting to see the difference in growth, and also the differences in the German and the English speaking community. The English speaking community is so much nicer, so much friendlier and more respectful than the German one. Actually, the odd questions I got asked by Germans, dude, I don't know. I think the first question on my channel that I ever got on my old channel was like, do you also go barefoot? Because you're a minimalist. And I'm like, dude, I live in the city. I don't want to step into some syringe or glass or whatever. No, I don't go barefoot. I also don't go barefoot in the forest because pine needles are kind of sharp, and I'm not that much of a badass. I also don't like to have muddy feet if I can avoid it. Yeah, and now on Instagram, what I think is a very, very interesting phenomenon about Instagram and creators following each other, that is that if you don't have the authority, what I talked in the beginning, like either you make epic content and everybody can see right away that you are a creator, or you have a huge following so everyone can see you're doing this full-time professionally, or at least you're doing this seriously, or you kind of have a business, you're a business account, you're offering something. If you don't have one of these authority criteria, then people will just see you as some random bro on the internet and not a creator. And I also see that like on TikTok, when you see an account that's commenting on your stuff, they don't have a single video, they're a consumer, not a creator. And on Instagram there is this differentiation as well, because unlike on YouTube, you can click on people's profiles and learn a lot about them by just doing that. So on Instagram, is somebody a creator or not? And you also see that a lot with small profiles, which I find really interesting. Because I don't follow anyone, as I said, like unless they're super amazing and I need them for inspiration, because I don't consume content on Instagram at all. I just consume it to because I follow people that are my friends or that I have known for a long time, to support them. I solely like their posts to support them. I don't really care about any kind of online content. I make content. I don't consume it. And I really, on a fundamental level, do not get why people watch my content. I try to understand it, but I personally have only maybe 2 or 3 people that I follow for them having an interesting personality. Other than that, I follow only accounts that I get value from, that aren't about the person. Like, I would not follow Nate from Channel Makers if his channel wasn't Channel Makers. I would not follow Nate's van life. Maybe if Nate's van life was super amazing and epic and high quality video, maybe, but I don't know. I mean, I follow people like Jonna Jinton for her nice, relaxing video. Like I watched that to fall asleep. But I would follow any other person that would make that kind of content if they were nice and friendly. Like it's not that she has like an edgy, interesting personality. I follow her for her content. I'm just thinking about who I follow for their edgy personality, but I can't think of the person right now. Let me just look it up. Who do I follow just because they're weird? I mean, when we're talking about an info channel, I would always follow like a cool, chill, relaxed, laid back channel. When like in my head I'm vibing with the host, I would prefer to follow that channel more than another channel. If they provide the same value and info on, let's say, some tech product or something, I will follow then the friendlier, cooler one. Or the one that puts out real nice rants about Apple products. Yeah, like if you do a rant on an Apple product, I'm your follower. Like you can get me that way pretty fast. So I'm just gonna look into my subscriptions. Like one YouTube channel I follow is Intentional Living Space, and she's a minimalist from India. So I follow her just because she has a unique perspective and she has a great personality. She's just a nice person, or seems like a nice person on the internet. So that's why I follow her and not some other Indian creator that I don't even know of. And then like one of the more popular creators I follow is Corey Jones, and I must say I only follow this guy for his personality. He started making minimalism videos but then kind of pivoted into lifestyle, and I think he did that in a very smooth way. And his content is just laid back, chill vlog style. I could just listen to his nice voice forever. And so that is why I watch his content. And not because I'm super interested in what he's doing in Atlanta, or I don't know where he's at right now. But I don't really care about Atlanta, and I don't really care about American lifestyle. Like, not interested. It could be in the Netherlands, don't care. I care about this guy's voice and his chill style, so I feel like I'm getting something out of it, as in it's relaxing. But other than that, I usually just follow tech channels, hiking channels that have valuable input for me as a hiker to say stay in the mountains or whatnot, new gear, that kind of thing, ultralight hiking. That is what I watch, and I watch it purely for this hiking intel. Yeah, I'm not watching it for the creator. And I know this sounds like such a mean thing to say, but think about it. What channel do you really truly just follow because you really like that person, you would love to be their friend and have a beer with them in real life? About how many creators can you say that? I know it feels sometimes like you know that person, but you really don't. It's like watching TV, but just a little bit more personal and a little bit better, in my opinion. And we just, as creators, we have to be honest with ourselves about that. If you are lying to yourself and thinking that everyone wants to be your friend, that's not doing anything for your channel. Neither on Instagram nor on YouTube. Anyway, I was talking about the follow culture between creators. So what I see on Instagram a lot is that you need that kind of authority for people to follow you. You need a different kind of authority for other creators to follow you than for just users or viewers, whatever you want to call them, follow you. Users, they just want to see nice content. If they like your content and they think it's worth their while, they will follow you, so they have you in their feed. But other creators, either you connect with them and you do them the honor of following them, and then maybe they will follow you back because they think, okay, yeah, this person is an inspiration to me. Or they won't. And often I find, like, if you do not have 11,000 followers, they don't really think that you are worth it. They don't even consider you sometimes. It is always about having equivalent numbers. Like somebody with 2,000 followers will not follow somebody with 200 followers. And sometimes it feels like it's even like they give you these, I don't know, these pity likes. They come on your they come on your profile and give you like 20 likes. They liked your stuff so much, but they didn't want to follow you. Like, what is that shit? I will never understand that. You know, I mean, you can give like one like, and then okay, you might have stumbled upon my post, and I might then stumble upon your profile, take a look at it and decide if I like it, even though you like my post but didn't like it enough to follow me. Maybe I like your content more than mine. I see your content and I think, wow, this content is much better than my content, and so I'm gonna follow them for inspiration. But I don't really know what these creators are thinking by giving like the catchy likes. Like, come to my profile and then you're gonna be amazed and follow me? No, I don't know. It doesn't work like that anymore on Instagram. It did work like that like 3 years ago. That was so easy. You could just like comments, or you could just like posts from small creators and they would follow you back. And that way you could build a huge following, and then it would just snowball into a bigger profile. But I think right now you just have to make epic content, otherwise you won't make it on Instagram. It has to be entertaining or inspirational or informative, one of these. And I make content that is supposed to be inspirational and pretty. So that's my niche, pretty stuff, and I hope that'll work for me. But you know, I think the easiest way to grow is truly to be informative and funny. Like, if it's informative and funny, people will like it and save it, and that's the way to go. If you have some tech topic or something that is generic enough to attract a lot of people, but specific enough to a niche, to build a niche and to attract a specific audience, I think that is a very good combo on Instagram right now, and on TikTok as well. That and high definition. But anyway, I think the follower culture on Instagram is really so interesting because it's so different from YouTube. On YouTube, people just follow you because they come across you and they think like, oh yeah, I want to see more of that in my feed. And then in the future, I will see more of that in my subscription tab. And you know, that's cool because I like this cabin vlog, so I want to see more cabin vlogs because I would like to live in a cabin one day. Let's learn something about it before I will go on this journey myself one day maybe. Or I'm into van life. I'm just gonna watch a lot of van builds, and then I'm gonna have all this knowledge and this inspirational and beautiful pretty stuff about how to decorate my van and how to build in a fan or whatnot in the back of my head. And then when I do this myself, I'm gonna use all this knowledge. I'm gonna save the videos and the playlist, like how to build a van from scratch, that stuff, you know. But that doesn't work on Instagram. On Instagram, it's like, oh yeah, I'm really into this creator, this is giving me a good feeling, but it's also a little bit of a power play, as in, if you're a creator yourself, you're not just gonna follow anyone. You want to attract people to your content. And I see a lot of arrogance in smaller creators, as in, people are feeling entitled to more followers just because their content is good, but they're just not there yet. And I'm trying not to be that. I'm trying not to be like, when I come across another person's profile, I'm liking their stuff. So if I like it a lot, I'm gonna follow them. I'm not gonna expect a follow back for following them because I don't follow people, so they follow me back. And neither should you. Should not expect that from other people. I think that a lot of creators are still expecting this kind of return on their actions. As in, when you get these pity likes or these mass likes and stuff like that, they think you're gonna follow them, and they think it's gonna work with a lot of profiles. But all it really does is damage your account, because if you do mass likes, you're gonna be banned. So if you mass like, you better follow that account too. So, and a word to the bigger creators that go around and like smaller creators' posts, please don't do that. Like, your like is nice, it doesn't hurt us, it's good for us, but we will not follow you back as small creators. We couldn't care less about you and your perfect page. It just makes us feel shitty. We look at it and we think like, wow, yeah, you got basically the same content as me, but you can't find it in your ass to follow me back or follow me at all, even though you liked all his posts. Like, what? If you like it so much, then come over. If you don't like it, then please just don't like it. That's just, what am I supposed to think? I'm looking at your 100,000 something profile, I'm seeing it, and I'm like, you don't need another one of me. You don't need any more followers. You are making a living from that already. Like, what do you want from me? Why should you come over on my profile so just that I click on yours? There's nothing there for me. If I want to follow you, I'm going to follow you for your content. And I like to think like that about my viewers too. So I'm like, why would they follow me? They don't follow me out of pity or because I went on their profile and watched their story. They don't follow me because of that. They follow me because I create nice stuff. At least I hope so. Like, I hope they don't follow me out of pity, as a pity follow. I don't want that. So, because pity follows will not give you interaction and will not give you a community. And that is essentially what I want on Instagram, and why I still am on Instagram, even though I'm not super happy with the platform. Because this follow back culture between like, oh, I follow you back, but only if you already have the same amount of followers than me, because otherwise you're not good enough for me, even though your content is good. That kind of stuff, so I don't know, I just don't get it. Like, I follow super small creators all the time if they have pretty pictures and interesting personality. So I don't care about the metrics at all. I don't even look at that. I don't even look at big accounts. It just irks me when I see it. Oh, this is one of these pity likers again. But if their content is really pretty, I will follow them. I will not follow them. Because if somebody does pity liking, I know it's a general rule for me that I do not follow them. Sometimes I even block them because I want them flagged. But if somebody just likes like one picture of mine and I see it and I'm like, wow, but this account is really cool, I will follow them back. No hard feelings. But I try to think of my viewers like that. Like, why should they follow me? They should follow me because they like my content and maybe like to watch the stories, see what I do in my everyday life. Like, I watch Jonna Jinton blogs or vlogs. I watch them because I want to see how her life is going on, how everything is developing, what she's doing, because by now I'm just hooked. I like her personality. She is calm and chill and never political, and there's just no drama on this channel and anywhere. And I have been to the place where she lives, actually in Sweden, because I've traveled through Sweden, and I've been to this area, and so I can relate to that. She's relatable and normal and down to earth, and I like that kind of creator. Wherever I go, it doesn't depend on the platform. So that is why I follow another person, and I hope that people would follow me because they like my personality and they think like I'm a person they could have a beer with. And that is the kind of creator I look for, and that is what I think is the future. When people say, it's like a trend. And I've talked about this with friends so many times, like years ago. I said, like, I hope that someday it's going to be like people will follow people again and not just topics and niches and trends. But I think topics, niches, and trends are still huge and always will be. And you will have this little hardcore mini subsection of your following that's always going to be following you for you. That's the people follow people part. I don't think it's ever going to be huge that you don't watch Netflix because you like Netflix. You watch Netflix because you like one certain show. And when the show is over and there's no other show you're interested in, you're gonna stop watching Netflix. At least I hope so. I don't have Netflix. I can't relate. I actually don't have a TV or anything that I watch, like any show. So this is also really interesting for me to see these platforms as a consumer and to check other creators out as a consumer. It's a new thing for me, and I often find myself being fundamentally bored and just putting my phone away after, I don't know, a few minutes maybe, and then I feel like, oh, this is already too much, especially on TikTok. It's just such a waste of time and I learn nothing from it. Sometimes there are kitchen hacks and DIYs that I learn, but other than that, not really. So anyway, this podcast is finished now. It is about my journey of becoming a content creator or being a content creator, doing stuff, learning new things. And I want to take you on my journey with me because I think there are already so many podcasts out there made by large creators that have already made it and are not still in the process of growing and just don't have the perspective of a small creator. So I want to give small creators a voice. If you have any questions or want some topic to be part of this podcast, you have to comment on YouTube or message me on Instagram at Undine Almani. You can also come over to my blog, undinealmani.com, and I always save all your ideas in that huge list that I have, and then when I come to film a new podcast episode, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I feel right now, and then I do an episode on that. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can always let me know what you want to hear more about in the comments. And that's it.